Hello again, I'm Robert Fithen. So you've seen the title of the video, maybe you've even seen my announcement short, you know what's coming. Here it is. 215 albums ranked and reviewed from the year 1992. Here they are. I'm going bigger, more expansive, more absurdly large with this ranking. I definitely appreciate you joining me on this journey, and I definitely appreciate everybody that commented and watched my 1991 reviews. I know I'm really testing you now with 215, but I started with this and I just kept going and going and going and going and going. I couldn't stop, couldn't help myself. Here it is. Just real quick, same thing as last time with the 1991. No country albums. I think those work better as singles at this point. No hip hop albums, no techno albums. Those I think work better as 12-inch singles and club play and stuff like that. I had to pare it down. Believe it or not, the 215 albums is pared down. So there's other things I'm not including as well. We'll get to those later. I just want to hurry up and not spend any more time on the intro and get right to the reviews. Just please keep in mind this is a countdown, and the way countdown works is you have to get through the really awful stuff first. So there's going to be a lot of negativity in this first video, but in my opinion, the albums will get better and better. Please just keep that in mind. But we are starting off, bottom of the barrel. So there's a particular vocal style which I find extremely irritating. I've talked about this before. It's when a grown-ass woman, either by her own choice or more likely from some record executive's choice, sings like she's like 12 years old. This girly, oh my God, oh my boyfriend, and it's a grown-ass woman. I have now heard an album that provides an excellent example of this from start to finish. It was an absolutely excruciating experience for me, and I'm talking about Juliana Hatfield and her 1992 release called Hey Babe. Wow, is this awful. My boyfriend. Oh, every other song's about my boyfriend. And she's got one on here that's like, oh, I'm so ugly and I don't even need a mirror. Oh, Juliana, you're not ugly, you're pretty. Oh my gosh, it's so big. Are they all that big? I've never seen one before. It's that kind of thing. Exactly. It is that. She does have a song on here called Nirvana because we are in the early 90s here. So it's the whole contrast of sounding like you're 12 years old, but still being provocative with some of the language. She does that in the only song that I ever knew from her called My Sister. I think she had another one where it's Spin the Bottle. Is that her? Where she's like, "He wanna fuck her," and then it gets edited for radio, and then the little boys, they just get absolutely rock hard hearing this, and then they got to go out and buy the actual CD because you can't hear her curse on the radio. So I've actually heard 2 songs from her. Now I've heard more, and not interested. She's got a song on here about Nirvana, and she's like, I like to listen to Nirvana, and then I want to fuck shit up. All I can think of when I heard that was like, oh, now she knows a dirty word. But anyway, no, not for me. Not interested. The absolute, just right, precision example of the kind of irritating vocal style. I will say this. At least she's not a 35-year-old woman sounding like this, like those 2 women from that Wet Leg band that was so hot 2 years ago. And I'm like, y'all realize she's like 36 years old with a kid, right? Okay. And the thing too is this kind of thing was going on in like the early 90s, and it's led to things going on now in pop music where, forget about sounding like a 12-year-old, there's grown women that are sounding like they're 6 or 7 now. This whole like, oh, I love you so much, some people are saying it's called singing in cursive. But I think cursive actually sounds like too mature. But yeah, this is where it's headed now. We have grown women singing like 7-year-olds. It's interesting. I was watching an interview with Ariana Grande. She was on that Hot Ones show where they eat the hot wings and answer questions. And she was talking about how her producer kept wanting her to sing in this like little baby doll voice, and she kept doing take after take, singing younger and younger, until finally she just sang in this sarcastically, like, 4-year-old girl voice. And she's like, what, do you want me to sing like that? And her producer was like, yes, that's it. And it really it really kind of pulls back the curtain on what this whole thing is about, and how it's really more in other people's decision and control, why some grown women feel like they have to sing like this. I will definitely I will pin that link in the first comment and timestamp exactly where she's talking about that. I think this is really, really kind of interesting. But anyway, back to the 90s and Juliana Hatfield. Still apparently putting stuff out. She's like in her 50s now. She doesn't still sound like this, does she? Can somebody answer that in the comments, please? Is she still sounding like she's 13 years old? Because that would be absurd. This album's awful. Def Leppard, Adrenalize. Yeah, no. Haven't heard this album since it was first out in 1992, and I only heard it then maybe once and a half. That wasn't because I wanted to hear it. And, man, just, this is awful. I mean, when it starts, that very first song, Let's Get Rocked, it tells you exactly what you're in for. Do you want to get rocked? Yeah, I do, and it's not happening. Song sounds like it's made for like a 9-year-old. You got Joe Elliott, who's I think 32 or 33 at this point, just pandering to the kids. This sounds like a song like the Disney Kids or like the Kids Incorporated would do when they're all, they got their rock song and they're all dressed up in their, they got the bandana and the studded wristband and they're, let's get rock all the way. Dad says, take out the trash. Hey, no way, Dad. Clean your room. Oh man, get real. Fuck you, Dad. Okay, they don't say that, but it's that. It's like it's made for kids. And if you were 9 years old when this came out, I can totally understand why you would like this. It's totally for you. You don't want to clean your room. You don't want to take out the trash. But Def Leppard should be way past that at this point. I mean, I get it. If you're a band that's coming out, you might come up with some lyrics like that. You're dipping your toe in the songwriting thing. You got other things going on. You still got your day job you got to do. The work music is like a side thing. These guys are not that. These guys just came up in an absolutely huge album with Hysteria. All those singles that we still played all the way into the 90s and beyond. You got, of course, Pour Some Friggin' Sugar on Me. I can't stand that song. God, that's gotten beaten into the ground. Worked at a strip club for a while. Had to play it there too. You had the performers fighting over who's going to play. I wanted my song. No, it's my song. All these women wanting to do the show to like Pour Some Sugar on Me. Thankfully, there were 2 versions at least, so you could trade off. But man, you had that. Of course, you had Armageddon and Love Bites and Rocket and Animal, and it just played those over and over and over again. Very heavy rotation. These songs, though, never got played. These got forgotten about. These got put away, and I can totally see why. This whole album sucks. If it's not something pandering to children, it sounds like it's pandering to mall girls with the love songs on. Have you ever wanted someone so bad? Yeah! I mean, it just... that's not Love Bites. Love Bites at least had some sexiness to it, like it would be in a strip club, that type of thing. This stuff sounds like they've reverted back to childhood. It either sounds like that, or some of the songs sound like a Saturday Night Live skit, like they're making fun of like rock music. Just awful. Bottom of the barrel. I mean, this is pitiful. It really is. I mean, and there's no excuse. I mean, they did have the death of Steve Clark, so you can see why, well, maybe they've lost their focus. Maybe they're a little bit out of sorts because they've got that on their mind or whatever. Well, then that would result in probably more of a lackluster album. Maybe something a little half-baked, maybe not quite up to standards or whatever. That's not what this is. This is a whole change in direction, and we're going for the kids, and we're going for just goofiness and ridiculousn's. It's just awful. And they have really no other excuse. I mean, they're Def Leppard. They've toured the world at this point. They should be masters of their craft. They have access to the best studios, the best production teams. I mean, they got Mutt Lange writing like half the songs in here or more. He's not producing, though. He probably was like, yeah, no. But the best people in the business are backing them up. Best promotion team. They've obviously got an incredible promotion team because this got on the radio and sold like multi-platinum. So, I mean, obviously they've got some money behind this and some post stuff. But as far as making it, they've got access to the best. And this is what they come out with. It's just, I don't get it. I don't know why they would do this. And there is this thought, you know, when people talk about this album, a lot of people say, well, things like, well, you know, the grunge was coming in and alternative rock was getting big and they're trying to keep up with the times and they just couldn't do it. They're trying to still be the 80s and it didn't work. I don't know. I was there. I was 19. So I'm the exact age you're supposed to be for this. And it just kind of seems to me that one of the reasons, it's a little backwards, because I think one of the reasons that alternative rock got so big and grunge got so big is because of albums like this and bands like this. It wasn't like this was so terrible because grunge got big. It's like grunge got big because this was so terrible, and a lot of albums like it, but this is the worst out of all of them, I think. All those bands that try to keep their sound going for the 90s, I can't really think of a worse album from a big band than Def Leppard, Adrenalize. This is pitiful. This is pitiful. I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, I liked Def Leppard when I was 10 years old and got introduced to them with the Pyromania album and the videos that were always on Friday Night Videos and some of the other video shows. You know, loved Foolin' with the cowbell and the foolin'. You know, Rock of Ages was okay. Photograph was a little better. I really liked Too Late for Love, how it really kind of atmospheric nighttime thing, and he's just screaming out the lyrics. And Bringing On the Heartbreak, I heard that a little bit after it was out. Like that. And I was like 10 or 11 years old when all that stuff, I got introduced to all that stuff. But 19 years old, this is not for me. I'm not caring about listening to songs about taking out the fucking trash. And I remember the first time I saw that video, it was just like, this ain't gonna work. And, you know, it didn't. And there's a couple of tracks towards the end, like Personal Property and Tear It Down or whatever, kind of throwback to their earlier sound. Those are okay. I mean, they're passable. They're not anything great. They're better than friggin' Stand Up, Kick Love into Motion. There's a song on here called Make Love Like a Man, and I'm not even bullshitting. You can look it up. That's what we're dealing with here at this point. And again, there's really no excuse. So it's pitiful. That's the best way I can describe this. I mean, there's bad album. I'm doing a countdown. There's going to be a lot of bad albums to talk about first. This is more of just like absolutely pitiful. Pitiful. All right, so I don't really want to bash on Sinead O'Connor. That's not the reason I made this video series. I think she has had to put up with a lot of criticism in her lifetime. People bashing on her all the time. Some of it completely unfair and unwarranted. Of course, she is sadly no longer with us, but you know, I am doing an album ranking of 1992 albums, and if I had to rank the most disappointing album of the year, this would definitely come in at number 1, and it's her 1992 album called Am I Not Your Girl, and this is definitely not my album at all. I remember being very interested in Sinead O'Connor when she was out with her 1990 album that had Nothing Compares to You on it. I was captivated by that video, by that song, by this person, you know, in the video where it's just her face. I mean, she was just so, like, well, captivating is the word. And the intense way she sang that song, she definitely made that her own. I don't care what the Prince fans say. That is Sinead O'Connor's song. And got the CD and really became interested in her. She made all kinds of headlines, mostly because of crazy stuff like, you know, her shaved kind of head. You know, that's what everybody would talk about, stuff like that or whatever, not really her music or whatever. But she became more and more popular. You know, that song, I think, went to number 1 or number 2. She's on the late night talk shows. She's getting talked about. Everybody's interested, want to know what's she going to do next. She is somebody that I always felt like had a message to deliver. She had kind of a harsh childhood. I saw the documentary on her life, and she's somebody that definitely had things to say, definitely had a point to make, definitely had a message that she wanted to get out. I'm all about that. And she got some of that out, but unfortunately it was in things like stunts, like the ripping up the Pope's picture on Saturday Night Live and whatever, and not so much in the music. And this was the album that was out when she did that. And it's basically just a really boring, vanilla covers album of these torch jazz lounge songs that have been covered by countless other people. It's basically her version of the Rod Stewart Sings the American Songbook nonsense. her doing a Michael Bublé album, basically. And if Rod Stewart wants to do that, or Pat Benatar wants to do a Jump Blues album, that's a little different because they were never that political. They were never that fiery about their opinions. They were never that outspoken about things. And those albums were also much later in their careers. Here's Sinead O'Connor at this point. She's got the world's attention. She's got all eyes on her. Now's the chance. She's at the top of her powers, where if she wants to make a statement, make something change, get people's attention, get a message out, now's the time. And what does she do? She puts out this stupid album of just bland cover songs and songs that I don't even think suit her. I was just really kind of confused and extremely disappointed in this when it came out. She's on here doing things like, you know, Bewildered and Bothered and Bewitched and what, all these loungy, she's basically doing like an audio cosplay of this sexy, sultry, you know, nightclub jazz singer. And it's not how I envision her at all. I don't really know what she was trying to accomplish with this. And people can say things like, well, she's a maverick, she's an auteur, she does what she wants. She's not trying to get million-selling albums or #1 hit singles. It's not about hit singles. It's about having a platform, having it to where you now got it. You, like I said, you got the country's and the world's attention, and then you deliver this. It's like my idea of like going to a Martin Luther King Jr. speech in the 60s, and you're expecting to be moved, you're expecting to be inspired, you're expecting to hear something powerful, and instead Martin Luther King Jr. just breaks into you know, his version of Minnie the Moocher. I don't think people would be walking away from that going, well, he does what he wants. Nobody can tell him what to do. You know, I think people would be like, what the hell was that? And that's how I felt about that. Like, what the hell is this? You know, she's on here doing Betty Boop, for God's sake. I want to be loved by you. That's Sinead O'Connor. What? The only two, there's a couple of songs that work on here. There's, you know, it makes, almost makes sense for her to do Don't Cry for Me, Argentina. Okay. She does a nice version of Scarlet Ribbons at the end of the album. That's about it. Everything else is, you get none of that personality. You get none of that quiet intensity. You get none of that, like, I'm going to make these songs my own. She's just doing very generic versions of these. Secret Lover is another one that she could have done something with and made it a little provocative. Nope, nothing. Just this, I'm gonna do these uptown jazz club songs from years ago, and it's like, so that's what, that's not, what, I don't get it. I don't get it. Complete disappointment, utter disappointment. This makes about as much sense as Rage Against the Machine doing a Christopher Cross cover album. You know, I just don't understand the point of this. It seems like the exact wrong move to make if you're Sinead O'Connor and you're really serious about standing up for things and, you know, human rights and battling, you know, fighting against the powers and whatever. I mean, I get it. Nothing Compares to You is basically a love song. It's none of that. But her other stuff was more in that vein of being just completely outspoken and a complete, you know, force to be reckoned with and serious. And that's the thing. I never thought of Sinead O'Connor as somebody who's unserious. And this album just sounds very unserious. And like I said, it was a complete disappointment. But Sinead O'Connor, sadly, has passed away at this point. Her legacy is sealed. And, you know, this was a major opportunity that was completely, in my opinion, just completely squandered. She never made a comeback. She's now just basically a one-hit wonder. And again, it wasn't about making hits, or it was about making a statement, having the attention of the world on you. And now's your chance. You're at the top of your powers. You can do that. And no, I'm just going to sing, you know, stupid jazzy club nonsense songs that have been covered 1,000 times and just make a completely forgettable album that, you know, not a lot of people bought, not a lot of people cared about, nothing really happened. And then, you know, we're back to square one, basically. So yeah, you know, being a fan of Sinead O'Connor at the time, this was, you know, just like I said, just a complete disappointment. So believe it or not, doing this video series was the first time I have ever heard a a Leonard Cohen album all the way through. Always meant to check out Leonard Cohen, always heard about him, but it just never really got around to it. And that's one of the things I love about doing these series. It makes me get on some of these artists that I've been kind of putting off. And his album that he had out in 1992 was called The Future. Now I've heard a Leonard Cohen album. I'm going to assume that this is not the one to start with, because this is not what I thought Leonard Cohen was. I'd always heard he was genius songwriter. He was Mr. Melancholy. He's like the guy you listen to when you're sad or you're going through hard times or a breakup or something like that. I know that he had the big best of album was probably what you should start with. The one that looks like the pod cover, you know, with the jammy pack and all. Yeah, that's Leonard Cohen best of. They got that from his album. But yeah, this is, So now I've heard a Leonard Cohen album. It's an hour long. It's got 9 songs on it. They are 7, 8, 9 minutes long each. Way too long, some of them. His voice stays right in a very narrow spectrum there. It's this low, hey, baby, yeah, oh, honey, baby, yeah, we make love, oh, yeah, baby. Everything is baby. He's got this low voice. He comes off like he is this, I don't know, like Tom Jones type. And I didn't think that was Leonard Cohen. But he comes off like the kind of guy that women are supposed to throw their panties at on the stage. I didn't think he was that at all. I mean, he does have other songs in here, like the song Democracy. You know, I think I get that one. I know what he's talking about. He's the goods and bads of democracy and how it's not all it's cracked up to be and all that kind of stuff. It goes on for like 9 minutes or whatever. Just him and basically like a little jazz, you know, music, piano and little drums and whatever, bass. He does a Frederick Knight song, the Frederick Knight soul songwriter, worked for Stax Records a lot. He does one of his songs called Be For Real, which contains, you know, him talking about, you know, I don't care about the truth, baby. I just care about the naked truth. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, baby. Yeah, it's like, ugh. I listened to this. I'd rather hear the Frederick Knight one probably, but I listened to this with headphones on. So this dude is right in my ears with this nonsense for like an hour. Like I said, this thing is an hour long. Now it does take, like I said, it takes a few breaks from that. There are songs about different things, but most of them are these like, hey baby, you know, it's like, ugh, it was like right in my ears. He's got this one about, you know, oh baby, when we make love, well, I'm going to go so deep the rivers are going to be jealous and the mountains are going to shout amen, baby. It's like, no, you're not. He comes off as this guy that, you know, the type that wear like they're in New York, they're wearing like the long coat and the hat, you know, and they look like they're dressing in the 40s. They're wealthy. They're going to go to the bar and hit on the waitress or whatever and they get half drunk or whatever. Then they're going to go home. Baby, I'll show you my, you know, whatever collection, baby. I'll show you my collection of scarves, baby, and ascots, baby. Come back to my condo, baby. And then they're going to go back there. He's going to go at it for like a minute and a half, go limp, get upset, throw the girl out, you know, pass out. And the next day he goes to his, you know, his office and he fires 2 people to prove he's still a man. You know, that's this guy. That's what he comes off as. Definitely not melancholy. Definitely not some poet. Just the, hey, baby. Yeah, baby. Hey, a bracelet has always got blood on it. You can taste it. You can smell it. Yeah, baby. Hey, baby. That's literally one of the lyrics. So, I don't know. I obviously need to check out an earlier Leonard Cohen album. This is not for me. He does an Irving Berlin cover called Always, where it's like in a jazzy kind of club setting, and he's got these women in the background going, oh yeah, woo, oh yeah. You know, that's all studio. That's studio. But yeah, I'm assuming this was nominated for a Grammy. It has that Grammy stench on it, but I don't know, with all the Oh Baby stuff, maybe it wasn't. That kind of, they shy away from that. It's like, you know, but if you're going to Oh Baby and do some Whitesnake or something, somebody knows how to get it done. You know, this is not for me. This is not for me. It's a no from me. Leonard Cohen, The Future. Now I've heard a Leonard Cohen album. Now here's an album that I could have included on the 1991 series because it was released in the UK in 1991, but not in the US until 1992. And since I actually have the CD, the US one, I figured I'll put it on the 1992 one. Check this out again. They are The Wedding Present, and the CD is called Sea Monsters. And I'm more familiar with their 94 one called Watusi. I think that one's okay. It's got decent moments on it. This one I could not get into, though. I found it to be kind of monotonous, kind of boring, really. The vocalist, David Gedge, could not get into his singing style at all. This kind of lower register kind of... And sometimes, in certain songs, it seems like the engineer didn't care for him either, because they just kind of lower his vocals in the mix so much that you really can't hear him in tracks like Carolyn. So... I'm just not into this for whatever reason. I know The Wedding Present had some fans. I think they've pretty much been kind of forgotten about at this point. But I don't really know what else to say about this. It's just your kind of basic alternative pop from the time. It definitely sounds like 1991, 1992. It's a longer CD. It's like 52 minutes long, so it just goes on and on and on. I think the US one actually has 3 tracks in it that the UK one does not have. So this is a longer album, and it's just kind of meh, you know, all the song titles are like one word, except for one song is a name with, you know, a first and last name. So I don't know. Don't know really what else to say about this, except for it's just kind of boring, and I don't want to go on and on about it because then I'll become boring, and well, we wouldn't want that. The Wedding Present and Sea Monsters. Let's just move on. Mary's Danish is a band that was from Los Angeles. They had 4 albums out, and this was their final one. It's called American Standard. Now, if you watched my 1991 series, you might have remembered me reviewing their CD that was before this one called Circa. And I was talking about how it was very quirky, kind of all over the spectrum of sounds. They had wacky way out stuff. They had rock stuff. They had your basic like alternative pop kind of things on there. They had kind of jokey kind of songs. All kinds of different instruments coming in and out. It was quirky. It was wacky, whatever. You know, it was an interesting listen. They covered Jimi Hendrix, Foxy Lady on there. Not a great cover, but they did that. That one was called Circa. This one is American Standard with the cheeseburger on the hat there. And this one, they go in a completely different direction, which is to rein everything in and basically just make a very basic sounding alternative kind of rock pop album. All the songs are very similar, especially compared to the Circa CD. And it is not great. The 2 main lead vocalists are 2 women that harmonize together a lot. There are Julie Ritter and Gretchen Seeger. And wow, I am not into that singing style at all. I mean, they did a little bit of that on the Circa album, and you know, it kind of was overlooked a lot because there was so much wackiness and so many different things going on with the music and the different song types and everything that you could kind of overlook the vocals a lot. But here the vocals really stand out. I mean, because the music is really kind of basic, like I said, basic alternative rock, and then these vocals, which are, it's kind of like this hokey, country-ish kind of, I don't know, rascally, wily, I guess, vocal, like, I know, you know, that kind of, and then they're blended together. Listening to this will make you appreciate great harmonies, because great harmonies are not happening here. The vocal style here, to my ears, is just grating. I do not like it at all. And this, you know, this CD is like, I think like 55 minutes long or something like that. So it's kind of typical of a 1992 album. They're longer. You know, the albums are longer here. They're made for CD or whatever. 55 minutes. But it seems like it just goes on and on and on. It's like, this thing's got 14 songs on it. It's like, this has got to be like track 12, right? No, you look at it, oh, this is track 8. Oh my God, it just goes on and on and on and on. Their single that went to college radio and alternative radio stations was called Leave It Alone. It's track 7 on here. And it's this kind of vocoderized vocal going, I don't care what you know, don't care who you are, don't care what you think, don't care what you do, I don't care for you, I don't care what you learn, don't care what you learn, don't care. It's just, Not great, and it's actually one of the better songs on here. But as far as like comparing, it doesn't even sound like the same group as the previous album. They're going in a completely different direction. And usually the opposite happens. Usually a band will start out very, with the songs that everybody's doing, and then they'll go more experimental. This one, they start out a lot more experimental, and then they just rein it all in for your basic alternative rock pop sound. And it's not interesting. The vocals I don't like at all. And so if you're looking for that diamond in the rough or that hidden gem from 1992 in this video series, which there are some coming up, I hope you check them out. You probably do not want to check out Mary's Danish. And if you do, it is not this CD. This is the one that, the band put out this. And then they said, yeah, let's not do any more music. It ends with a hidden track, which is their cover of I Fought the Law, the Bobby Fuller 4 song. If you want to hear, a blasted out rock version of that, obviously you want to check out The Clash. Not Mary's Danish. All right, so as I mentioned, doing these albums, digging really deep, doing this number of albums from each year really is allowing me to really go back and really dig into some of the forgotten albums, some of the ones I've forgotten about, some of the ones I never paid a lot of attention to, find those hidden gems that it's like, wow, like diamonds in the rough. There is the band Love Hate from Los Angeles, and this would not be a case of finding a diamond in the rough. I know a lot of people cite this band as like one of the underappreciated, kind of glam metal bands of the time. They had 2 albums. Blackout in the Red Room was the first one. I vaguely remember that one. And then their 1992 one was called Wasted in America. Cover art looks very different, very original kind of thing there. But then again, a lot of these type of bands were doing kind of different kind of artwork for 91, 92, try to get noticed. And so, but yeah, this is a little different artwork, so a little different approach there with that. But the music is just, kind of basic in some places, and then in other places, they try to get so, I guess, unique and even progressive that it just turns out to be kind of clumsy and messy. First song is a title track, Wasted in America. It's just kind of average. It's just kind of there. Mom and dad are in the living room, Billy's in the basement, wasted or whatever. Lead singer, I saw this one has a video. Lead singer, I remember now, just seeing that. I've seen it a long time ago too, back in the 90s. Lead singer dresses, moves, poses, wants to be probably Jim Morrison. He is not Jim Morrison. He does not sound anything like Jim Morrison. He doesn't seem like he's trying to sound like Jim Morrison. He's not a very good lead vocalist. The second track on here, Spit, is just ridiculous. Talking about she's a cuddly wuddly, and she wants your peaches, but she'll just give you cream. That's cream is the third track. What does that even mean? See, there's a lot of stuff like that in here that it's like we're trying to sound nasty and sleazy and whatever, but when you stop and think, it's like, wait, what does that actually? I mean, I know it sounds like it should mean something, but what actually does? She wants your peaches, but she'll only give you cream. Just stupid shit like that. And then, it goes on and on and on. There's the acoustic kind of ballad in here that's powerful, makes a message called Don't Fuck With Me. So that's kind of bold for 1992. But it's basically, don't fuck with me because, my hair's long, and don't fuck with me because of the beer I'm drinking. So let me get this right. You're in Los Angeles in the early 90s, and people are messing with you because your hair's long and you're drinking beer. There's this weird thing on here called Don't Be Afraid, all about I think they're trying to be sinister, and, it's all about that, there's something in the night, something hiding in the closet. What could that be? Don't be afraid. It might be some slasher out there going to slit your throat. Oh my God, it might be somebody trying to tie you up with toilet paper like a mummy. Okay, now you've lost. I mean, they just bizarre lyrics that don't really connect. Like I said, in a few tracks, they try to go for like time signature changes and stuff like that. And I don't know if they're trying to be like the progressive hair band or whatever. It doesn't work. It comes off as very clumsy and just kind of all over the place. And yeah, I mean, the final track on here, Evil Twin, sounds like it could have been something with the concept like, hey, it wasn't me out there. That must have been my evil twin. That could have been cool. That could have been funny. But It's not, the lyrics aren't anything. The music is another one of those tracks on here that's just all over the place. I mean, some of the lyrics on some of these songs are just really sing-songy. So, you know, we're past that at this point. Like, throbbing, grabbing, pulsating, and, you know, it just, I mean, kind of weak. You know, and again, my argument, I stand by it, you know. Did grunge and alternative rock kill this kind of music? Or did this music just kind of lay down and die, and grunge came in and was like, all right, we'll take it from here? No, but wait though, I got some lyrics here. She's cuddly, wubbly, wubbly. No, that's okay, man. That's all right. Come on, move on out. We got it from here. Thanks for coming out, you know. Okay, they are getting better. A little bit better as we go. Just keep that in mind as I'm ranking these 215 albums from the year 1992. We're almost to the good stuff. We're crawling along. And we are up to Throwing Muses and their album called Red Heaven. Tanya Donelly is gone at this point, and if you remember my review, and of course you don't, why would you, from my 1991 series of The Real Ramona, the album that came before this, I had said that the Tanya Donelly tracks were definitely the highlight. You want to look for the Tanya Donelly writing credit and go straight to those tracks. Tanya Donelly now gone off to bigger and better and more popular things. And we're left with Kristen Hirsch, and you know, her vocals are not my favorite. I'm not a fan of her vocal style. I can see how some people would be. It's not atrocious or anything like that. I'm just not into it personally. And it's all over this. Obviously, they're down to a trio now. She's the sole vocalist, and the songs are not as interesting. The music, especially in the first part of this is definitely not a front-loaded CD. The better songs are on the back end of it. The first few tracks are just like, the music is just, it just lays this bed of guitar without any kind of real melody popping out, no like hooks popping out. It's not interesting enough to be noise rock. It's just kind of this chord change, and the drumming is just kind of basic timekeeping. And the lyrics, you know, they have little interesting, you know, little sentences in there every once in a while, but they're nothing to write home about. And so, yeah, not an interesting album, not a particularly musically adventurous album at all. And the vocals I don't care for. So that recipe makes for just something that I just don't particularly care about. If I'm going to do Throwing Muses, it's going to be the version that has Tanya Donelly aboard. So, yeah, I mean, you know, Bob Mould is on a track on this. That kind of brings it up a little bit with the track Dio. I'm not sure if that's about Ronnie James Dio. It'd be kind of strange to call a song Dio, and it's not, but it's about this neighbor with sheet metal thunder going on. It does say metal, so there you have that. But that's a little more interesting just because of the Bob Mould co-vocal there. You've got a track about halfway through called Pearl. It starts off acoustic. And so you really get her vocals front and center on that, and that's where it's really like, yeah, I'm just really not a fan of these. But musically, that one comes off as a little better. There's a couple of tracks that start off with a little more interesting drumming going on, but then it just goes right into the guitar. So yeah, not a lot musically interesting. I don't know if fans of Throwing Muses consider this one of their better albums, or if they kind of dismiss this one. I'd be interested to know that in the comments, because I know Throwing Muses has a lot of fans. I liked the Real Ramona, the one before this. I'm not familiar with the Tanya Donelly parts. I'm not really familiar with a lot of their stuff previous to that. I need to check some of that out. But not going back to this one, though. This one's just not doing it for me. And so that's going to wrap up part one. So we got through. You know, we're really not on horrible stuff at this point. We've pretty much passed that mark. So 1992 actually had a lot of great albums, and will get better and better and better. That's the theory anyway, at least in my opinion, as we go along ranking all of these. I definitely appreciate you watching. I know this is an even bigger task than the 1991 one, but I had to go bigger, had to go broader, had to go more outrageous, more just completely ridiculous with my number of albums. But 1992, I mean, I was so familiar with so many of these based on my college radio experience. And so once I started digging in, I just dug and dug and dug, and you get the brunt of that. So thanks again for watching part two. Coming up next.